The death toll rises to 10,000 for what has now been deemed the worst public health emergency of modern times. The Ebola outbreak has taken over Liberia, Sierra Leone, and Guinea, and has now stretched to parts of Senegal, Nigeria, and Mali. Ebola is a highly contagious disease, causing hemorrhagic fever and most often death. However, the rapid spread of this disease is being linked to factors beyond the disease itself. Typically, the solution is to isolate the sick and to cremate the dead. But in West Africa, religious customs come in direct conflict with Ebola safety measures. Traditional burial rituals often include washing, touching, and kissing the body, while Ebola continued to spread through contact with bodily fluids.
People touch the body while crying, they cook, they eat, and sleep together.
People were suddenly expected to abandon their ceremonies and unceremoniously dispose of the corpse in a body bag. But prohibiting families from performing these rituals is not only viewed as an affront to the deceased, but villagers believed it puts the family in danger. They explain that in the event of an improper burial, the deceased person's spirit will cause harm and illness to the family. So families become more fearful of the unsettled spirit than of Ebola itself. Family members began to hide the bodies from government officials and foreign health aid in order to honor their dead in the traditional way. Villagers often retreated with ill relatives into the forest where they could hide, and where the deadly virus quickly spread. Organizations involved in Sierra Leone's Ebola response claimed that 70% of new infections in that country stemmed from burial rituals. District medical officers began to call on anthropologists in order to help forge a solution. From decades of experience in West Africa, cultural experts knew there must be ways to make reparations to the spirits for ceremonies that could not be performed as tradition demanded. Health officials had to work closely with local leaders to persuade the villagers to change how they mourned. People initially handling the intervention only looked at this as a health issue, without understanding the complex cultural aspects of the epidemic. When health workers and burial teams altered their procedures, and as political, tribal, and religious leaders pressed their people to adapt traditional ceremonies, the Ebola epidemic began to decline. Health officials realized that cultural awareness and mutual understanding is the key to bridging the gap between those who need help and those who can help.